A very good morning to you. Welcome to the West Ham Voice on a Monday morning. I hope you've all had a very pleasant weekend. This is a quick roundup on all the latest transfer news that's been happening over the past few days, just to bring you up to date on exactly what's happening. But before I do that, before I start the show, I have to ask you all for a very personal favour. Every West Ham fan should take a few moments to fill in a very important survey that has been created by Hammers United and has been hosted by the FSA. It's your time or your opportunity to have your say about your current feelings over the stadium, about West Ham, etc. And this is the place to do it. We're trying to get as many as 6,000 or more fans to fill in the survey so that it has some credence and we can present that to West Ham United, the board. So please do go. The link is at the bottom there at hammersunited.co.uk/West Ham United fans matchday experience survey. Go and look for it, or if you're on Twitter or on X, etc., look for the Hammers United link and then go directly to the survey. Do please fill that in. It's very important to have your say. And whilst I'm at it, for a plea, if you're new to this channel or if you've not yet subscribed to the West Ham Voice, please do consider subscribing to the channel as well, which will be very much appreciated. So let's talk about links, shall we? And let's get the silly ones out of the way. I think it's quite fascinating, to be quite honest with you, the way how creative news channels are and sports journalists, etc., and sometimes not so creative. And this one is not so creative, and that is the rumor that now that Marko Arnautovic's contract at Inter has ended, Graham Potter should be on red alert to go and sign him. No, he shouldn't. 36 years of age. I'm not sure I really I'm still not over the way Marko Arnautovic and his brother treated West Ham last time he was at the club. And at 36, no thanks. So when you start hearing stories about us being interested in Marko Arnautovic, you can take that with a pinch of salt. And the other one, a little bit more creative, I guess, is the whole story about Jadon Sancho. Last week, we heard that Man United were going to rip up his contract and allow him to leave on a free. He's got 1 year left on his contract, 300 grand a year, as we already know. He was on loan at Chelsea last season, quite successfully, and they couldn't come to an agreement on a compromise on his wages. So at 300 grand a week, I doubt very much Sancho is going to come to West Ham and compromise on that salary either. So you'll be hearing stories throughout the week about the possibility of us looking to recruit Sancho, take him on. The only way that it could happen is what I mentioned last week. The only way that it could happen is if Man United are willing to send him out on loan on his final season and then heavily subsidise his wages. That way, I reckon West Ham would be in with a shout. Otherwise, I doubt it very much. So what about some other names? Well, a new name came up. Oops, wrong one. Let's add that in. There you go. A new name came up the other day and on Sunday, and this is a player called Viktor Tsigankov, 27 years of age, Ukrainian international, but another left-footed, right-sided player. So this is one I'm going to sort of take with a pinch of salt. Look, he's got great pace. He is versatile. He can play on both sides, and he can also play as an attacking midfielder. He's had an excellent season with his club Girona. But his goal return and assist tally leaves a lot to be desired. He's played in the Champions League, but he didn't score any goals in there. And for Girona last season, he only scored 2 goals with 5 assists. However, the story says that he is very much in demand, and West Ham United are considering a loan deal, a deal to buy him. I don't know about this one. Let's see what happens as we go into the week. Now, of course, there's another rumor that was been ongoing for quite some time, that we're supposedly very close to signing Burnley midfielder Josh Brownhill. Now, My understanding is that West Ham have denied that we're anywhere near close to signing this player. Again, a bit of a sort of a left field kind of target for me. We know that one of the things that Graham Potter has said is he wants to reduce the average age of the squad. Brownhill is 29 years of age. He becomes 30 during next season. So I'm not sure he kind of fits that category. I know we need an awful lot more pace and a lot more energy in midfield. He won't provide pace, but he'll certainly provide energy and he'll certainly provide goals. His contract is about to expire at the end of June. And Burnley are desperate to try and keep him. He is currently their captain. But it seems that Brownhill has got other ideas. Will he come to West Ham United? I'm not so sure, to be honest with you. I think this is an easy story to put out there. West Ham are looking for midfielders. Brownhill's coming to the end of his contract, and someone's put two and two together. Let's not forget we've been linked to Brownhill in the past, and nothing materialised. So I'm not holding out too much on this story either. I don't think it's going to happen. Look, 18 goals for a midfielder with 6 assists last season is superb by any, to say the least. But would he get as many goals in the Premier League? That I don't know. On the field, Brownhill is adaptable. He's equally comfortable playing a deep-lying defensive role or as an attacking midfielder or as a central playmaker. So he could be quite a good asset to West Ham. His leadership as Burnley captain underlines the importance that he has as an experienced player, and he's versatile, and he could be the sort of player that you wouldn't mind having in your team when you're trying to pull through some academy players as well. He could be a good mentor, but I don't know. I think Graham Potter is looking elsewhere, and I think this is kind of I don't think Brownhill will happen. Look, apparently we're still looking at the potential sale of Thomas Souček, so Brownhill coming in as a replacement, maybe on a 2-year deal, might be beneficial to West Ham. But like I said, it won't surprise me if this doesn't materialise. Next up is another new name, and completely the opposite of Brownhill. Is that we're interested in 19-year-old French defensive midfielder Valentin Atangana of Stade de Reims, who were relegated from League One last season. Now, with the chance to see how Freddie Potts might fare this in pre-season, I don't know why we would be interested, with the greatest of respect to him, in Atangana. Look, we've got Freddie Potts. He's proved himself twice now on loan, and Freddie Potts is ready to come into the senior team. However, at a snip of £8 million, Atangana has been described as a teenage super talent. I won't comment on this player until I see more substantial stories, but I really don't think this is going to happen either. Next up is someone that we are interested in and more or less confirmed. You know, we're still on course with talks on signing Club Brugge defensive midfielder Rafael Onyedika. Now, I'm now contradicting myself because I said about Freddie Potts proving himself, but Onyedika is just that little bit more experience, whereas Atangana is 19 years of age, still learning his trade, etc. Onyedika is someone who's established, and we are still keen on signing him, but nothing has yet materialized because, of course, we keep hearing the same old story. We've got to sell before we buy, and I'm going to come to sales in a moment. Next up, Lucas Tassin. I mentioned him early last week. The young Belgian under-21 international from French club Saint-Etienne, another club that was relegated from League One. Now, apparently, the player has got a release clause, I mentioned this last week, of just £8 million. But the French club owners neither want to sell any of their players nor willing to sort of negotiate. They basically are looking to keep the same squad in order to try and jump straight back into League One next season. However, what they have said is that any player that wants to leave, they won't stand in their way. Now, the club will probably want a little bit more than just the £8 million on his relegation release clause. And there's a rumour that he could be available for around £18 million. He's had a great one season at Saint-Etienne since moving there, scoring 12 goals. And he's one of the top 10 striker goal scorers in League One last season. So what about players going the other way? Well, of course, we already know about Michail Antonio. I'm sure many of you have seen the social media post he put on, I think on wherever, one of his social media accounts about his return, the road to recovery. And it is quite a gripping short video about, his accident, how he started to train, etc. And now, yeah, well, he's actually been shortlisted into the Jamaican senior squad. So he may well get some game time. Apparently, though, at West Ham, there's an impasse between the player, his entourage, and West Ham itself over a new deal. Antonio wants a better deal on the table, and West Ham are reluctant to offer it. Now, the deal, we don't know what value money we're talking about, but the deal is about him coming back, another extended short contract, and sort of a pay as you pay sort of basis, or the other way around, pay as you play basis, and a short basic salary. But Antonio apparently has got other deals on the table, and from what we hear this morning is that West Ham are wishing him farewell. So it looks like it could well be the end of the road for West Ham and Michail Antonio. Next up, of course, is Mohammed Kudus. Since the story last week that Chelsea had made the first advance to sign the player, it's gone a little bit quiet, but we're expecting something to happen later on this week. It's rumoured, however, that Arsenal have also now had talks and have made inquiries about Kudus. However, they only value the player at £50 million or £51 million. Don't know what the one's for, but there you go. They did much the same tactic when they expressed an interest in Declan Rice, didn't they? They wanted to get him for something like 65 million, I think was the first offer, until we actually got what we believed he was worth. The irony is that their fans started to goad us that when Declan Rice finally arrived, that they goaded us that they got Rice on the cheap. So that kind of thing will hopefully stick in the memories of the West Ham board. And if Arsenal are serious about signing Kudus, then we hold out for as high a figure as possible. In effect, Arsenal's interest is exactly what we're kind of hoping for. With more than one team expressing an interest in the Ghanaian international, it means that possibly some kind of bidding war may start. Now, on the downside, is that if there were two clubs that I wouldn't want to sell Kudus to, that would probably be Arsenal or Chelsea or Spurs or Liverpool or even Man United for that matter. But there are still rumours that Newcastle United might be interested in the player, and it fits in with what Kudus desires, and he wants to play for a team that can offer Champions League football next season. And out of all the teams that are looking at the potential of signing Kudus, it could be Newcastle. That might be the only team that can play him in his natural position out on the right side of attack. So I think if there's a team that stands a really good chance of getting him, it might be more Newcastle United than either Chelsea or Arsenal. Look, to be honest with you, I don't even want to think. I don't even want to think it, but I fear that Kudus will end up at one of the greedy six clubs in the Premier League, and he will end up coming back to form, and whatever we sell him for, we'll be looking over our shoulders and thinking we should have sold him for more. Resentment, yeah, in bucket loads if he goes to one of those clubs. But the sound, by the sound of things, things are developing, and we may have an answer on Kudus' future, as I said, later on this week. And as for the initial Chelsea offer of players plus cash, it was suggested that West Ham had made inquiries not just on one goalie, but two. We're all aware of Robert Sanchez, a keeper who followed Potter to Chelsea from Brighton. But rumours are now that we've also made inquiries about another Chelsea keeper, and that's George Petrovic, the 25-year-old Serbian keeper who was sent out on loan to Strasbourg last season and did exceptionally well there. He made 31 appearances for the French club, keeping 10 clean sheets in the process. Great shot stopper. Not too dissimilar to Areola in that respect, but he's also more accomplished with the ball at his feet. Good distributor of the ball as well, something that we all know that Areola kind of struggles with. It would be interesting to see if Chelsea actually come back in for Kudus, and if they do, who they might be offering, or whether they might be offering a straight cash deal. Now, Nayef Aguerd. Now, an update on him. As mentioned last week, several clubs seem to be interested in acquiring Aguerd. And as I mentioned last week, there are several clubs interested in the Moroccan international who's reported to have requested not to return to West Ham for pre-season training. As it is, Marseille are now rumoured to be leading the chase, and they apparently are the first team to have made a move for him. Other teams interested include Atletico Madrid and Bayer Leverkusen. And they're all chasing Aguerd, which demonstrates they're all offering Champions League football, which kind of demonstrates that the defender really is a decent player. And it must stick in Potter's throat that such a talent doesn't seem to want to return to West Ham United. So is this the case of Aguerd being completely put off by how Moyes managed him? That's what we were hearing when he was here in the last season of Moyes, that, because he was defending too much, he didn't enjoy it. Well, Moyes is gone. Lopetegui was here. He didn't want to play under him. And now Potter is here. He doesn't seem to want to play under him either. So I do wonder whether it's really more about him either not settling in at West Ham United or just thinking that West Ham are just not good enough for him. I don't know. Maybe it's just that he doesn't like lifestyle in England and he's much more comfortable abroad. Who knows? Next up is Andy Irving. Now, I mentioned a moment ago about some of the academy players potentially breaking through this summer in pre-season. So that means it's highly likely that Andy Irving is yet another player who could be sold this summer. With apparent interest from several clubs in Scotland and Europe during the winter transfer window, Potter didn't want to let Irving go because he saw him as a vital cover should we have picked up any more injuries in the squad. But it looks now with the likes of Potts, Earthy and Orford coming through, it looks like we're letting Irving go. Now, the emergence of these three academy players is really good news. We've heard that they will be given an opportunity to demonstrate their worth during pre-season. Now, my money is firmly on Freddie Potts to break through. George Earthy and Lewis Orford, I don't know. I think they're good players, but I'm not too sure whether they will actually break through in this pre-season. And if they don't, I expect them both to go out on loan. Again, Lewis Orford for the first time, but Earthy again to a championship team to really demonstrate their worth. So that's the roundup for now. As you see, the news is kind of a bit regurgitated. There's not a lot of new stuff. Okay, Atagana and one or two others. But in general, I don't think we're going to see an awful lot of movement in the transfer market until the second half of this transfer window after the Club World Cup competition is over. Thank you for watching and listening. Do leave your comments. What do you think of the players that I've mentioned? What do you think of Antonio and what do you think of Kudus? Would it stick in the throat a little bit if Kudus ends up somewhere like Arsenal or Chelsea? Or is that our fate? Do we just accept it? Thank you for watching and listening. Do hit the like button and I'll see you all very soon.